All right, so let's head over, of course, to the sporting world. Me and Akiri with me in the house. Me and it's great to have you. Let's get straight to it. We're talking Euro 2020. And over the past few days, 3-4 days, the most riveting conversation has been about Cristiano Ronaldo. We'll look at the games, but let's talk about that. I know you have an interesting take on that particular issue or that particular saga that happened. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo and then Paul Pogba. And then now you also have players on the other side who seem as though they are going against the tide these other ones took. What are your thoughts on what happened?
Well, to educate our viewers, firstly, let's start with the fact that the product involved, you know, Coca-Cola, one of the 6 major sponsors of Euro 2020, including the Oga, meaning water in Portuguese, that Ronaldo, you know, held was a product of Coca-Cola itself.
Okay.
So let's also note that. So even when Ronaldo would say go for water, that water was also a product of Coca-Cola.
Okay.
That's one. But now we're looking at the stock market, you know, reports in New York at that time. And because of the time difference, before Ronaldo at that press conference, you know, the price shares were already down.
So apparently it was said that 1.26%, which equates to over $4 billion, dropped from their price share. And they said it was due to Ronaldo's...
it's just opinions.
Okay. And that is not fact.
That's not fact. Because if it actually dropped because of the Ronaldo saga, then we need a graphical, you know, analysis to support that, which is one. Secondly, I followed Tim Crow, who is a marketing advisor to Coca-Cola, one, and also has been a marketing expert for over 20 years. And he was also of the opinion that it has got nothing to do, you know, with the Ronaldo saga. The shares were already down, you know, before that incident with Ronaldo. But my take on this as a whole is, yes, you know, footballers have a lot of ego and pride, especially when you're that popular as humans. It gets to them. You know, you take a look at their social media and you see millions of people following them and all that. So whatsoever they do comes to gold, whichever way. And they also need some form of education. If this is a major sponsor of a tournament you're taking part in, you know, that's where some form of education
and the
comes
UEFA has warned that there will be a fine if players do it again. And it should be so.
It should be so. Let's see, if it contradicts your belief, then you shouldn't take part in it.
Just like Paul Pogba here, who
take an excuse.
And you know the interesting thing was that brand.
You can't the
brand of
double
standard. This was their 0% brand, so that particular brand doesn't even have alcohol.
It doesn't have alcohol. They all don't have alcohol. You know, so it's actually funny, and I wouldn't buy that professionally.
All right, wonderful.
Calling a spade a spade.
Wonderful. Now let's get straight to the games. Yesterday was quite a very big one. Denmark playing their second match. This was, of course, after Christian Eriksen in the same stadium. Christian Eriksen was just a few blocks away in the hospital. In fact, it can be said that he can hear the actual chants from the stadium. Something remarkable. Before the match, Ronaldo Coca-Cola had said that at the 10th minute they will stop the game and applaud for Christian Eriksen, which they did. But let's talk about the events on the field. The first half, Denmark was unbelievable. They played like champions. They played like champions. They blew Belgium out of the water just for the first half.
You know, by and large, let's take a look at the tournament as a whole. We've seen, you know, teams flatter. We've seen favorites also, you know, start on a very good note. Talk about the Belgians, their first game, you know. Talk about Le Bleu of France, you know, one of the favorites of the tournament. The English team, despite the hype, yes, living up to the billing, but they need to be more convincing. But let's narrow it down to, you know, last night where we saw Belgium against Denmark. Yusuf Poulsen, 99 seconds, you know, the first goal, the fastest as far as the Euro Championship is concerned
this year.
Which is indeed massive. And it speaks volume of what, you know, Belgium is made of. Like we've always said, in the eyes of FIFA, that is the best football playing nation in the world today. They are ranked number one in the world. And you see, what makes a team tick is the bench. And if you take a look at the bench yesterday, the match was won from the bench. A certain man, you know, Kevin De Bruyne, came off the bench, you know, sets up the younger brother of Eden Hazard, Torgan Hazard for the first goal, and indeed got the winner. Belgium rallying back to win 2-1. The hype behind this match, the build-up to the match has been with the issue of Christian Eriksen. Well, Denmark indeed rallied back, you know, after losing to Finland in the first game, which was a big upset. Now we're seeing the results. Yes, one of the favorites. So, you know, one team that has been doing very well in recent years, the Red Devils of Belgium, picking the maximum 3 points, you know, for the second game in a row, which speaks volume. So that's indeed interesting. France, starting on a very good note, we saw the game against Germany, the battle of former world champions, which was indeed great. You also want to talk about Italy, outsiders to win the tournament. 2 games, 2 wins. Now they are through, you know, to the knockout stages of the competition, the first country to qualify for the knockout stages, and you can't rule out the Italians at this stage. So it's massive. Now talk about teams, you know, that didn't start on a good note. La Roya of Spain, La Furia Roya, former world champions, won the tournament 2008, 2012. But unfortunately, you know, they had all the ball possession. But like they said, the name of the game is goals. They couldn't find the back of the net. And then Luis Enrique would have to work on that if Spain would have any chance of lifting this trophy,
so let's,
which I doubt.
Yeah, let's get the fixtures. Today, England will be up against Scotland.
One of the oldest
so much hype and all of that. But England, they have not been we've now seen that Gareth Southgate is trying to be as... You know, there was an issue that happened between John Stones and Pickford, where they had issues with the style that you play. First of all, for a team to be having that kind of issues on field, it just shows you that they have a long way to go when it comes to being organized enough for a tournament. But they'll be up against Scotland today. There's so much hype, but I don't expect the game to be fireworks and all of that. But what are your expectations for England in this tournament to be up against Scotland today?
Well, England, the most important thing for them was the fact that they started, you know, on the winning note against Croatia. Croatia, you know, finalist in the last World Cup. But then a lot has changed from 2018, you know, to what we have today. But I feel that despite the rivalry between these two sides, England has dominated the last 9 meetings. They've won 7 against the Scottish team. But then Scotland will be hoping that Arsenal left back is indeed back in the squad for them, Kieran Tierney, which was a big loss for them in the first game. But then should England win this game, then they've qualified for the knockout stages. But then who needs it the most? Scotland must indeed rally back. Scotland against Czech Republic, they were nowhere to be found. There were no match, and then they lost 2-0. Now they must indeed, you know, find their way back into the tournament. And this is one of the oldest football rivalry in the world. And they're also labels.
All right,
England, Scotland, so
let's move on.
Fireworks.
Croatia will be up against Czech. Do you think they can get that win after losing the first game? Well, what are your thoughts? Croatia against Czech Republic.
It's a massive opportunity for Croatia to indeed rally back into this tournament. Czech got the maximum 3 points against Scotland, which means if Croatia fails to indeed get the maximum 3 points, then they are done and out, you know, of the championship. The likes of Luka Modric want to step up their game. This one moment they must indeed get the top going.
And I wish we had more time, but next week we'll take a look at the Copa America, which is also going on at the same time. And we'll talk about that much more. Thank you very much, Ian. It was good having you.